Hi everyone, welcome back to 78 Reflections. My name is Patty Elaine and I'm so glad you're here. Today I have something fun in mind, and that is a VR to Lady Cara Tarot. She has been put forward some wonderful tags lately, and this one is a lot of fun. And I'm putting a twist on it, inspired by Julia, the highly sensitive tarot, to think about the colors in the rainbow, but also the chakras that they are associated with. And I've also chosen some crystals that align with those chakras. You know, when I was watching the highly sensitive tarot's video, it just reminded me of a course that I took for crystal healing and how connected I was to the chakras and the crystals. And so kind of feel like it ignited a bit of a spark for me. So thank you, Julia, for that. And of course, thank you, Lady Cara, for this wonderful tag. And with that being said, let's jump right in. So moving our way through the colors of the rainbow, starting with red, of course, which is the root chakra. And I have a garnet. This was a gift from my daughter. It's very precious to me. And I chose for the deck, I chose the dog tarot. And I chose it because of the color on the back, kind of that reddy brown that feels really grounding to me. But even more than that, this dog tarot belongs to Jake, and I use this deck for communicating with him. And so I feel like he is very grounding and stabilizing for me. So I thought I would start by asking, I'm gonna try something different, cutting the deck today instead of shuffling. I've pre-shuffled them, but now I'm just gonna cut the deck, so I'm not too chaotic in this video. Let's see how I do. So the question I wanted to ask is, in what areas of my life do I need a better root system? Or how can I feel more grounded and supported? Fire alpha male. That's really interesting. So that is the King of Wands. And, you know, the King is the master energy of the suit, and the Wands is our passion. So I think it's really interesting that Jake is interested in me igniting my passion, and as a way of grounding myself. And you know, I think that makes sense for me right now, because I am feeling very ungrounded in my work. And I think that if I can lean into that sense of, you know, being a visionary, being a leader, and having more trust and confidence in myself, I think that would be really grounding. So not really what I was expecting, if I'm being honest, but I accept the message I get from the cards. So with that, we're going to move to orange. And orange is connected with the sacral chakra, which is all about creativity, flow, playfulness, sensuality. And for that, I chose Ammolite. And this was a crystal that I chose for sacral healing when I did my crystal healing course a few years ago. I don't know, I'm trying to help you see the beautiful kind of rainbow colors that are in this. It's really, really beautiful crystal. And I really enjoy that crystal. For the deck, I chose the Flower Child Tarot. partially because of the color of the back, and also because, you know, this deck is a deck that I communicate with my sister through. And, you know, my sister was always a child at heart. She was so fun, and I feel like she would always want to encourage me to connect with that expressive, playful side of me. And so the question I'm wondering, related to the sacral chakra and the color orange, is how can I invite more flow, creativity, and even play into my life? Very interesting. Not what I expected. That's a bit of a plot twist. You know, for the Seven of Swords, you know, 7 is discernment. The swords are our thoughts, our ideas, and our perception. And, you know, oftentimes when we think about the 7 of Swords, we think about dishonesty or deception. But what I think of, and this was something that I learned from the Brinth. I love her videos. If you're not familiar, highly encourage you. She has especially shifted my interpretations of swords energy. And for this card in particular, I remember she talked about in one video that this card is about using discernment with our thoughts, ideas, perceptions, in that which swords are we taking with us and which ones are we leaving behind. And so I think particularly in this context of this question of asking, you know, how can I embrace my creativity and allow flow? A lot of it has to do with my mindset. And so both of these cards would not be what I would expect, but we take what we get from the cards, right? So moving on to yellow, I have a Bumblebee Jasper. And for the deck, my beloved Shadowland Tarot, because the solar plexus chakra is all about our inner light, our confidence, our personal power. And so for this deck, the question I wanted to ask is, how can I access my inner confidence and my ability to shine bright? Let's see what the Shadowland Tarot has to say to me. Wow. I feel like the decks are really throwing me some curveballs today. Interesting thing about the Two of Swords, especially when there's this stance, I often think about holding your arms over your heart to protect your heart. And I also think of, you know, just kind of blocking out everything else so that you can, you know, hear your own thoughts. And the Two of Swords is about choice, and often it's about indecision. And so I feel like the Two of Swords can be an invitation to get quiet, put on a blindfold, don't pay attention to what anyone else is doing, don't even pay attention to what anyone else is saying, but connect with your own wisdom. And I think that could be valuable with letting myself shine bright. Okay. Well, I wonder what's going to come up next. I can't wait to find out. Because we're moving to the color green in the rainbow. And here I have my Malachite. And for deck, I have the Nicoletta Ceccoli Tarot. And this, obviously, the color green. But also, this is my inner child deck. This is the deck I use when I want to communicate with my inner child. So I know that some people find this to be a shadow deck. I don't find it to be that way at all. Maybe today it's going to surprise me. But I find it to be about love, compassion, and connection. And so for me, it's very tender and compassionate. So what I'm wondering from this Nicoletta Ceccoli deck is, how can I open my heart more fully? Eight of Cups. The first sensible card I've had all day. So the Eight of Cups for me is about moving from rough waters to smoother waters. It's, you know, in some regards, I kind of consider it about choosing what you take with you. And so when I think about, you know, how can I open my heart more fully, it's about leaving behind what no longer serves me. And I think that that is what my inner child wants me to know. She's like, okay, girl, let's go. And, you know, I've definitely been in a space where I've needed to sort through what I need to leave behind to move forward more positively. And so I think that's really helpful. All right, now we move to blue, and chose this greeny blue one, Amazonite, and I really love this stone. It's you know, I feel like the throat chakra is about our truth. And this deck is such a clear reader. And I feel like sometimes this deck tells me things that I haven't been ready to say yet. But when I pull the cards, I'm like, yeah, okay. Good point. And so the question I have related to the throat chakra is, how can I find and express my authentic voice? And so let's just cut these cards. Ace of Cups. You know, the Ace of Cups is such a beautiful invitation when you think about finding your truth and your authentic voice, because it's this. I always think of it as an invitation to connect with our heart. And I think that when we're able to connect with our heart, that we are able to speak from an authentic place of, you know, our truth. And so there we go. Let's see what's next. Now this deck, I took a bit of a chance with this is indigo, next in our rainbow, and this is lapis lazuli, and this was a stone that I was working with in January, quite a lot. And this is all about connecting with our intuition, our insight, and our inner knowing. And one of my big challenges is I don't always know if what I'm feeling is truly my intuition, or if it's fear, or if it's something else. And you know, this deck I've had a tumultuous relationship with, and it can feel quite hard to read. But I did a whole series with it last spring, And I feel like it really challenged me to connect with my intuition. And so some of the cards are very challenging for me to read, but listen, I'm feeling bold today. So the question I want to know is, what insight or intuitive guidance do I need right now? Interesting. So for this deck, it does not follow the traditional system. It has a weird flow and an odd number of cards. So I sort of turned it to an oracle. I cut off the titles and I put keywords on. So this is really interesting here, because if you look at this guy, he looks like anything but ease and simplicity, because he's got this fiery hair, you know, this fiery red hair. It looks like his hair's on fire. But yet he's holding this flower, and you know, it's an interesting contrast, I feel like. So when I think about my own insight or intuition, what do I need to know? I do think it's about not overcomplicating it. You know, sometimes I just think that I overthink, overanalyze. And I remember I was watching Danny Mystic, and she said about reading the tarot, she said, just say the first thing that comes into your head, whether it seems dumb or not. Because she said some of the things that have come to her mind when she's read the tarot for someone else that didn't make any sense in the context of the textbook interpretation of the card or anything else, that would be the thing that would really resonate. And so that's a hard thing to do. But I think it is keeping it simple. So interesting. So last but not least, we have violet purple connected with the crown chakra. And I chose the Book of Shadows as above. I think of the crown chakra as, spiritual connection, higher consciousness. I didn't really have a violet deck, but you can see in this deck there is quite a lot of violet, because I like to overthink things. I actually counted, and I think there's approximately a third of the cards have the color violet in them. Yeah, I know. But anyway, so the question that I wanted to ask from this deck is, how can I connect with my higher consciousness? Because I think that's really what this deck has. This is also a hard deck to read, so we'll see how I do. Can I do it with ease and simplicity without overthinking it? Oh, beautiful. And she is wearing lavender. It's such a beautiful card. It's connected with the Stara, and it's card 14, so it would be Temperance. And you can see she's pouring something. You know, when I think of the Temperance card, the phrase that I often have in my mind is, I am a spiritual being having a human experience. And I think that's quite a beautiful message when I'm thinking about how can I connect with my higher consciousness. So there we go. So that is the color of the rainbow. I had a lot of fun with this prompt. I feel like I need to, just lay out all of these colorful cards. And I'm so happy that, in this community that we have such creative people who put out these prompts to share with us and feel like we can all put our own little twist on them. And so I just really appreciate Lady Cara, and also, oh, the other one I watched was Nikki T. Her video was great. There was probably more. I'll link them in the description. But I had a lot of fun working with the colors of the rainbow and the chakras. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me. And until the next time, may the cards bring us truth bombs when we need them and gentleness when we don't. See you soon.